Hey, you got us on the Weathered Soul podcast. Here's Bruce the Weathered Soul. We're live finally on YouTube. And look at that pretty face over there. Who is that?
Hey, folks. Hey.
There's Dougie, man. And it's been so long since we have been live on YouTube. Excited to be back, man. What a treat it is to be here, man. And it's been a long time. We've kind of finally figured a way besides Zoom to come at you and be a part of this podcast, man. It's great. We're still on anchor.fm. You can still get the audio there, which whenever I decide to post it, that's when you get it. But if you want us live and in person, you got to turn in to YouTube because Dougie won't let me go on Facebook Live, man. How you doing, Doug?
I'm doing all right. How about yourself?
I'm doing good, man. It's just been one of those, it's been a couple of weeks of technical difficulties, and I apologize to our listeners, man, for the last 2 weeks. Our podcasts have been just mediocre at best. In fact, they were so bad, I didn't even post them. So
blame it on Spectrum.
Yeah, we're going to blame it on Spectrum, internet, and everything else that is, human error, probably on our side and whatever the case may be. But technology is weird, and now we're on StreamYard now. So if you like what you're seeing here, we're on the StreamYard app, which you can download off of iTunes, and you can download it off of Google Play. You can go get it. You guys can be a podcaster just like us because we're big and we're almost like Hollywood stars now. We can start really telling people what we think, man, and they might believe it. But basically, yeah, we were going to come back last Thursday, and unfortunately, last Thursday was a faux pas on me because we were all ready to go and everything, and I decided to go get my flu shot. And not only did I decide to go get my flu shot, and that was on a Wednesday, I decided to go get my shingles vaccine at the same time. So I got the double dose of the vaccine, and I felt pretty good on Thursday morning. I went out for my walk with my friend Bob, and we did our 3 miles a day because that's what I do in the morning. And I went to work, and I was feeling okay, but kind of about 10 o'clock, things started going downhill. And I knew that it was going to happen. I knew damn well that I was going to go downhill on it. And by the time 4 o'clock rolled around, it was time for me to go home. I was done. I was just so tired. And you get that feverish thing, if you ever had a flu shot and you have an adverse reaction, you know what I'm talking about. But I had just like times 10, and I just came home. I called Doug. I says, "Nah, dude, we ain't doing it." and that's when we decided just to bag the podcast for last week. But we're here this week, and man, I will never do that again. When the COVID vaccine comes, I don't know.
We got our flu shots. It was a couple of weeks ago, but Abby, my wife got a really bad. I wouldn't say not a bad reaction, but she got a really sore arm from it. She got a nasty welt and a big old sore muscle. Arm was sore for a while. My arm got a little bit sore a couple of days later, but not too bad. And I really didn't feel too bad from it. Although I do know what you're talking about. You kind of get that. It's an immune system reaction.
Yeah.
It's not like you're sick. It's not like you're sick. It's just your immune system is working.
It's fighting, man. It's fighting big time,
well,
man.
It's learning. It's learning.
Well, Well, I had the heavyweight champion inside my body, dude. He was taking it to the ropes, man, because he was fighting and everything, dude. And I was just sitting there going like, all right, come on, let's go. And I just, actually I didn't sleep very well for the first 2 nights, man. It was kind of terrible. Wow. I kind of tossed and turned, and my arm was hurting and stuff like that. But for the most part, on Friday, I felt much better.
I think the shingles is another type of dead virus thing that they use for a vaccine, right?
Right. So I just had the double dose of, the heavyweight fighter trying to, fight off 2 guys at the same time. Cause that's how I am, man. Woo.
Well, there's really nothing to fight off.
Yeah.
It's dead. It's just your immune system is reacting to it saying, I need to learn how to do this.
Yeah, yeah.
right?
Well,
There's something new here, even though it's not infectious. There's something
right.
new here. I got to figure out.
Right, right, right. Well, it
Yeah,
was the same thing. Actually,
yeah.
the same thing I did when I started doing my plexus thing. I'm on that plant-based supplement and probiotic stuff that I've been touting, and the same thing happened when they have what they call a Candida die-off, and that's when a lot of your yeast gets died off and stuff, and it releases toxins into your body. And I had a real kind of a mild reaction, almost like I got like a tenth of a flu shot. That's kind of how I felt. And I drank a little water. It was fine after that. But yeah, it's just, I always dread the flu shot. It's one of those things I hate to do every year because I know that I'm going to feel like crap for a couple of hours. And I just don't, I'm a busy guy, dude. I can't stand to be down for an hour or two, except for a whole day. Right.
When I was traveling a lot, I kind of looked forward to getting sick once a year.
Yeah.
Hate to say it. Sorry, boss, can't go to work.
Yeah, well, I got to be a lot sicker now. I'm trying to look around at, just at these days now, since we got fall starting up, man, it's just like, who's going to be coughing, who's going to be sniffling, and when am I leaving the office to stay here and work in this room for the next couple of months? I have no idea.
Oh yeah, and it's like, I'd say probably 3 out of 5 times I could predict when I was going to get sick by what the people around me in the plane were doing.
Right.
Like I'm sitting in this tin can for 2.5 hours, and there's a guy next to me going. I'm like, yep, I bet I'm going to get that.
Yep, I'm going to get that. And
not every time, but yeah,
it's circulating right through the
yeah, exactly, yeah,
ventilation system and everything.
Bouncing off the back of the seat in front of him, coming right at me.
Well, on that tune right now, look at old Donny just got out of the hospital, huh? Did you hear that today? Yeah. The old man who thought it was a hoax got the hoax.
Yeah. And don't you think that it's a shame that that all the people who got incredibly sick and even mortally ill from this couldn't have the same sort of treatment he got?
Well,
do you remember back in the day, if you tested positive but you're not showing symptoms, don't even talk to us.
Yeah.
Right. Until you got 110-degree fever and you got to crawl in on your fingernails, don't even talk to us.
Right.
President tests positive and they dump him with every sort of treatment that's available, even stuff that you and I couldn't afford. I don't think that's fair. I know that he's important and they got to make sure that he's okay because he's the president and that's their job. Yeah. Do the same thing if he got shot or, broke his leg or whatever.
Nancy gets it. Ron Paul gets it. Ted Cruz gets it. Mitch McConnell gets it. Yep. Chucky Schumer gets it. They all get that stuff because, we get the scraps on the table, man. We had forgotten that they work for us, not we work for them. But, unfortunately, they changed tides on us and we got nobody to blame for ourselves. But I thought it was funny, man. I've just been seeing just social media just go freaking ballistic.
Oh yeah,
over this whole thing. I mean, from the time it started until the time he got out today, it's been nothing but wall to wall shitstorm, man.
It's so ridiculous. I tried watching a little bit of news and they're showing like the same 10-second clip of him driving by in the limo. Okay.
I don't have I don't have a.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm here. So sorry.
But seriously, for like it seemed to me, the talking heads are going, yeah, for 15 minutes, and they got a 5-second video of him driving by, and they just keep repeating it. It was like, come on, guys. Put something else in the background. Put anything else in the background. Yeah.
Like the Eagle said, it's the bubble-headed bleach bomb comes down at 5.
Yeah.
And that's how it is, man. It's the constant 24-hour reel-to-reel of the same story over and over until they get no more traction, and then people start turning the TV off, and then they'll find something else, man, because that's what they'll do. But it's just been nothing but
I think it's even past that on this one. They're just going to keep doing it.
It's
This
just a
guy,
wall-to-wall
you know,
teach.
yeah. It's so close to the election. It's like just keep playing it.
Yeah.
No matter whose side you're on, no matter what view you have, no matter how you want to cover it, it's like just keep playing it.
Yeah,
You know,
just keep playing
just
it. I
keep
mean,
playing.
that's
They're playing it all the time, so we got to play it all the
his,
time.
his side's gonna
Because
love it. His side's gonna love it, and the other side's gonna hate it. And it just really doesn't matter because you're getting the same effect that you want. And you know what? They're selling soap and barbecue sauce. So I mean, what the hell? I guess if you drink Coors Light, you're having a great time.
I do think that as many people as have gotten sick, and if more people do get sick, I mean, there are laws about intentionally getting people sick.
Yeah. Well,
right.
I think at this point in time, what we're doing, I have a real pointed opinion by a friend of mine, Eric Larson. We've talked about him before. He's an anesthesiologist in the Midwest, and he came out with a Facebook post not too long ago. I'd dig it up if I had time, but I'm not going to. But to paraphrase, he went to say that it really comes down to this. It's like, I'm not going to make any excuses for Donald Trump because it really doesn't matter. Everybody's going to get this virus. Everybody's going to get it. It doesn't matter if we have a vaccine for it. Doesn't matter if we close ourselves up in a freaking house. Doesn't matter if we wear a freaking bunny suit with a fucking mask and air supply and everything. Eventually you're going to get this. How bad are you going to get it? I guess depends on how long it takes for you to get it. I mean, if we get it, a couple of years down the road or something like that, the virus mutates to either weaker or stronger or whatever, you're going to get it. If you choose to get the vaccine and whatever, we're probably still going to get it. I mean,
it's not necessarily true, but most people are.
Most people are going to.
Just like with things like the chicken pox.
Right.
I mean,
right.
there are people that are 70 years old and never got the chicken pox.
Right, and I don't see any need.
That does happen.
Yeah, and I don't see any need for anybody to exacerbate the fact that if we're going to get it, why not just freaking go and do what the hell we want? I'm truly not a believer in that.
Well, no, there's the reasons for that, and it was explained at the very beginning. If everybody gets sick at once, there's not going to be enough medical care for everyone, and a lot more people are going to die.
That's not the point that I was trying to get. I'm just trying to get that with Donald Trump and what he knew with I can't remember what the first person was. Somebody on his campaign staff got it. Hill, is that her name? I can't remember her name.
Oh, they all got it.
Anyway, they all got
a little spokes lady, Kylene. And
McElhenney, she got it. The press secretary got it. So it's running rampant in the White House right now, and so.
Well, they're talking about the when they announced the Supreme Court nominee, that was a super spreader event there. That was it. All those people were exposed. They're kissing each other, licking each other's faces, and nobody was wearing a mask. And
maybe that's why
now it's like center is the president, 5 down this way and 5 down this way are all sick.
That's it. Well, that's exactly why we don't lick each other's faces, right, Dougie? Even when we get together, we don't lick each other's faces. So
or anything else.
Make sure out there, you guys over there in Weather Soul Land, me and Dougie, we don't lick each other's faces.
Well, how we lick each other's faces is we do it through the dog. Dog licks me, dog goes over and licks Bruce. It's not quite the same, but it works.
That's too funny, but to be all serious with you, I had a little rant going on this weekend. Those of you guys that do tune into the Weather Soul podcast page that we have, and you guys can go over there anytime you want. You can go to the Weather Soul podcast page, and there's my buddy John Odermatt, and he is trying to get a hold of me. Let me see if I can pull that down. There we go. And there's the Weather Soul podcast page, and all you have to do if you want to get over there is to click that little just go to the Weather Soul go to Facebook, and in this search box up there, I'm going to show you right where the search box is, right at the search box right here. You type in the Weather Soul podcast, and it'll take you right to that page, and you can click join, and I will let you in there, and you'll be a part of the good time that we have there, man, because I I post a lot of parody there. I post a lot of my opinions. I post a lot of humor stuff and all kinds of really good stuff there. And but I did post one thing that I'm not really sad that I did. I actually posted it on my personal page. Is that and I don't talk about this. I really don't talk about this on the Weather Soul podcast, but I need to bring it up because it's a rant. I pray. I'm a man of faith. So I pray every morning with my wife before I go to work, and that prayer kind of covers everybody in the whole universe and stuff like that. So I had posted that, Donald Trump was in my prayers on Friday. I mean, I added him to my prayers, and not that I added him to my prayers or anything like it's any great big thing that I did, but everybody, I really don't care what you've done, man. I mean, I care about you guys, so, I pray for this world all the time. So I got a little kind of pointed feedback on it, and one of the reasons why I don't talk about faith on this podcast is just that, because it really doesn't belong here. I mean, this is a social media podcast. It's also a podcast where me and Dougie talk back and forth about social issues, about the news of the day, and blah blah blah. But I had been a guest on the Fen podcast, which our buddy Josh Forsyth of Forsyth Farms invited me on, and his is a faith podcast. So I transferred my testimony there. I told people my testimony there, and by that time, Trump hadn't been in the hospital yet. So, but I talked about my faith and how I'd come through, different types of my life, and how God had helped me and stuff like that. But it prompted me to get some messages and some mail, and which is surprising because I can't get a bit of mail on the Sweater Soul podcast, but go on a faith podcast and I get all kinds of mail. But another friend of mine had mentioned in passing that if I was done praying for Trump yet, and it kind of angered me. It really angered me because I think people think a different thing about faith. Just because I'm praying for somebody doesn't mean that I'm laying on the floor or prostrate on the freaking floor or kneeling, for hours and hours, praying for people all day long, for God to intervene. No, I pray one prayer in the morning and it pretty much covers, the whole universe and everybody that I love and know, and even people that I hate. And, so, that's kind of the way that I display my faith. And I hope that I display my faith and that I display the way I walk through all of my podcasts, through, the Weather Soul podcast, through the way that I act with Doug and Abby or any from my friends that are around, or whether I act that way in the pit of my stomach or Bruce for Liberty or wherever you even see me. So, I mean, that's kind of where I'm at, but it just kind of it's the biggest thing that infuriates me. And that's why I don't share it, because it infuriates me when people kind of put you in a box and say, okay, because you believe in this, you are here, but we are like this. And I just, to me, it infuriates me. I don't know how you feel about it, Doug, other than the fact that I don't really care if you believe in God, if you do believe in God, whether you believe in Buddha or whether you believe in a piece of grass hanging off the freaking gutter. It doesn't matter to me how you practice your faith or lack thereof. So, I mean, to me, people that kind of look down at you upon that, dude, is just like, let it be known. I'm praying for you.
Yeah. Well, I have my views on that, and that should be maybe a show on its own. But I mean, whatever makes you feel good. I believe in faith. I'm not really very big on organized religions.
Oh no, and
I have my own relationship with God, and I don't expect anything from Him.
Absolutely. Yeah. Hey, I couldn't even say it any better than you just said it, man. So for you guys that are out there and,
next week's show,
I had something I wanted to do. I'm not going to do it because, this is not a family show, but I was planning on giving somebody the double freaking fisted freaking middle fingers on this thing, but that's just another. I guess that's just for another show, man. I guess I should be a little bit more graceful than that. But anyway, hey, like I said, we're glad that you guys were here on the Weather Soul podcast, watching us live on YouTube. There's 22,000 of you out there right now that I can see. Man, we can use more, so just click the button to you want to go live and listen to us, because 22,000 people cannot be wrong. But you can also get us after the show. I will be putting this on our podcast site at anchor.fm, and anchor.fm is where me and Dougie put all our podcasts every week, and you can go there. There's our faces with our banner and the introduction to our podcast, and you can get us. You can see the little anchor.fm, the Weather Soul podcast up there. That's where to get us if you just want to hear us on the interwebs. And you can get us on iTunes. You can get us on Google Play. Any of your popular podcatchers. In fact, all the podcatchers carry the Weather Soul podcast, because we have 44,000 freaking listeners every day. So it's a fantastic way to get your word out. And I just enjoy every single bit of bringing you guys these podcasts. And Dougie, I'm sure he's been missing it for the last couple of weeks, because he's been trying to figure out what the hell's going on with our internets and stuff like that. So,
well, we had some good shows.
Yeah, we did.
Now they're outdated.
Well, our shows are pretty much outdated about a week after we post them. So
yeah, exactly.
They lose their flavor, because we actually do
usually on current events. Yeah,
we do our current events show, and it's really, really sad that we have to actually do our recollection of what we saw last Monday. Remember last Monday, Dougie? Yeah. Last Monday we had our first presidential debate. And boy, was it a debate.
Well, was it a Tuesday?
Or was it?
Yeah, the debate was on Tuesday.
The debate was on Tuesday. Whatever it was. Whatever.
It felt like a Monday, though.
It felt like a Monday, because I tell you what, I could have shot myself in the head. It felt like a Monday. But, man, what a debacle, man. I don't know. I'm trying to figure out who was worse out of the whole thing, out of the whole three people that were there.
I think it's beyond a shadow of doubt who behaved the worst. I don't think it's a contest at all on who behaved the worst.
I will say, coming out of the gate, man, that Donald Trump did exactly what he expected himself to do.
Yes,
I think it was
what everyone else expected him to do.
And what everybody else expected him to do, coming out of the gate like a freaking rocket, and just couldn't shut up. And man, I'm telling you,
we've agreed to these terms. Yeah, well, that doesn't apply to me just because I agreed to them.
I think, man, it couldn't have been a bigger shit show. And I mean,
oh fuck yeah,
Wallace just lost it like from the first question out. It was
the thing that I liked is he was shouting over the president, so that you had to kind of fine tune your bullshit filter a little bit, and you didn't have to hear the president at all. You could just listen to Mike Wallace telling him to stifle while we're trying to get the other question in. Chris Wallace. Yeah. The other one. They all look the same.
But, just like in every debate that I've ever seen in my whole life, is that not one question was even answered. Not one. Not from the president, not from Joe Biden, not from Chris Wallace. Nobody answered anything. And it's just a shame that we have to go through this dog and pony show. In fact, I'm telling myself,
it would have been nice if there was some, decorum, and we got to hear each one's views. Trump just said what he had his script, and he was just reading down. It didn't matter what the questions were.
Oh, absolutely.
Biden tried, but being constantly interrupted and distracted, and shouted over and then cut off in time. It's like, I don't know. I think if I were him, I would have just walked off the stage. But of course, you can't do that.
I kind of wish that, most of the comments that I heard after the debate were more in line with they should have had a mute button, number one.
That's the first thing I said.
But you know what? Yeah. In all actuality, I think this COVID thing with him, getting COVID and all that is going to either. I hope it doesn't cancel the debates. Really, I really do. What I do hope it does is that perhaps maybe they'll have a venue like me and you are doing right here, because at least if somebody's over there moderating, they can ask the question, they can mute out who they don't want to speak and listen to who they do want to speak, because I think that's really the only way with these two, because I believe unrestrained, that Biden would have done the same thing, not to the extent that Donald Trump do it, because he's a boisterous asshole. But the fact of the matter is that I haven't seen one debate where people have not talked over each other. I mean, the freaking Democratic debates were a total shit show themselves. I mean, look,
right, not much better.
Yeah, it wasn't much better. So better that you have everybody off in their little green rooms with their camera and their mic in hand, and then the moderators would just.
Yeah, but then what happens when the Russian hackers get a hold of it?
Yeah, well, who gives a fuck about the Russian hackers?
Oh, they can start muting people and putting in Bugs Bunny cartoons.
Yeah, but I actually made it. I actually heard it was it only 90 minutes? Tell me that, because I
think it was only an hour and a half, or a little bit more than an hour and a half.
I turned it off at 7:15. That's as long as 75 minutes. That's as long as I.
Hour and 45, I'm told by my fact checker.
Okay, cool. So I was on there for 45 minutes, or for 75 minutes. So I got about halfway there with it. So I missed the last stop. I couldn't take it anymore. In fact, Vic, the guy that was on our first podcast, the author from Texas, he didn't make it past the first argument. I think he was done after the first question. And it's a shame, man, that we can't have the decorum between two presidential candidates where somebody's going to elect one of these two. That's the scary part, is that somebody's going to elect one of these two. And because, Joe Jorgensen, as dear as I love Joe Jorgensen to be the next president of the United States, is going to get less than 3% of the vote, if she gets even that. And I just think that.
Well, hopefully she'll get all 605,000 libertarians.
Yeah, we'll hope so. We don't know. But her website went down during the debate. And I'll have to admit, I'm getting a little political with Joe right here. And Joe, if you're listening, because I know you do, because you're part of the 666,000 people that, listen to us every day. And, so if you're out there listening, because I know you do, what the hell are you doing for the past week? You haven't done crap. You haven't commented one thing about the debates or whether you do better. You haven't answered any of the questions that were answered or that were asked of the president. I mean, if you couldn't be a part of the debates, you should have been there to answer the questions, at least to the debates, to the forum that you have, because you have 600,000 of us that do follow you and that do listen to what you have to say. And if you were so hell bent on wanting to be the president of the United States, you ought to be pushing yourself a little bit harder than you are. And I probably would have, if it was me and I was going to do it, I'd have risked, hands, arms, limbs, and everything, and try to crash the debate stage is what I would have done. I mean, Dougie knows me. I probably would have tried to do that.
Well, you know me too. I did the math, and it's like if you want Joe to be able to compete, if you want Jo to be able to compete with JOE, then you got to fork up some money, man.
Yeah, well, I don't think money has anything to do. Well, excuse me.
How's she going to get time? How are you going to see her?
Let me backtrack. I don't think money should have anything to do with it. However,
there's a lot of us that feel that way.
Has a lot to do with it.
Yeah, there's a lot of us that feel that way about financing campaigns, but nonetheless, it's the money talks and bullshit walks.
Yeah, really interesting. Yeah, real interesting podcast today on the Lions of Liberty podcast. Mark Clare had a debate today between the president of the Libertarian Party and another person that is a high ranker of the Libertarian Party. This is how much I don't know about the Libertarian Party. I don't give a shit who our president is. Anyway, they had a podcast on whether the Libertarian Party should be abolished, because the platform of the party is supposed to be for freedom and liberty. And well, how do you define freedom and liberty? Because freedom and liberty is different in a lot of people's minds. And it's different in my mind than the platform that they have. I'm a little bit more socialist than on the socialist side. of some issues. I'm more on the conservative side of other issues. It's just kind of like, I guess that's why I call myself an independent, but I side with the Libertarian Party. But it was
fair.
Good. It was a pretty good debate.
Yeah.
I mean, it really was back and forth, kind of pointed. Nobody talked over each other, like the presidential debate that we had. But nonetheless, a good podcast to listen to. Go listen to it. Lions of Liberty podcast. Mark Clare, some Monday. It's their flagship show. Really, really good show. I would encourage you go to listen to it, and you can get a lot of insight of what's going on with the Libertarian Party over there.
Yeah.
So,
well, regardless of what happens, we're not going to be a libertarian country.
No
matter what happens. I mean, even if we get 30 libertarian senators and a libertarian president, there has never been a country that existed under the tenets of the Libertarian Party. Can't do it. You just can't do it.
I would say that
you can't do it purely.
I'd say it was intended to be that way, but as soon as the ink dried on the Declaration of Independence, everybody was trying to dismantle it. So I mean, that's kind of where we're at with the whole situation. So it's kind of a sad situation. I mean,
there's countries that have some of the tenets of libertarianism, but you can't have them all. Like you said, you have to have some social organization. You have to have some government. I mean, even the most libertarian sided governments in the world still have like 40% of their GDP going to the government.
Absolutely. And then that's kind of one of the big arguments. That's kind of what the big argument is. And sometimes in the the hardcore big L libertarian, kind of wants, I'm going to go in there. I'm just going to abolish the government. It's like what the big crazy guy that was freaking running Prince something. I can't remember his fucking name. But I'm just going to go in there, and the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to walk away. We're abolishing the government. It's just like, oh yeah, that's great. Yeah. We have no direction.
Right. You're going to give us all free guns too?
Yeah, exactly. Where's my free gun and where can I pick it up? Hell no, I'm getting 5 or 6 before you get elected, dude.
Yeah. but nonetheless, the thing that I hate the most is when I see like other parties, especially more conservative parties, saying that more liberal parties are trying to take away your liberties, and it's like, who's talking to me here? This is a conservative,
right?
And that's the thing too. I also see a lot of times with the libertarian people that the Libertarian Party bring forward are to me a lot of times they're just Republican light.
Yeah, you say that a lot, but a lot of the libertarians that I follow. Let me see. I'm not going to take the statement back, but a lot of the people that I follow say that they had to do this certain thing to get.
Well, I should qualify that too. What that means.
We'll qualify what that means, right? Exactly. Yeah. But then you've got like people like Tom Woods, who's a great podcaster, who's always been a libertarian. He's never wavered. He's never been a Republican. He's never been a Democrat. You've got Joe Jorgensen, of course, who has never ever been anything other than a libertarian or an independent, for that matter. I mean, the Libertarian Party has only been in existence for about 40 years, but. I just kind of lump all the independents into that realm, because even though you've got people that are hardcore socialists or communists or whatever, I'm going to bring up another podcast today. I listened to Free Man Beyond the Wall, Pete Quinones, and he had I can't remember his name, and I love him to death. I can bring up his name. I'll look it up. But they were talking about he talks about the foreign policy and the wars that have gone on from the wars a long time ago up until the present. But he was actually talking about World War I coming forward, and all these wars that have taken place that actually the United States has been really actually the imperialist bad guy, in pretty much all of them. I mean, if you really think that, if you're a war historian and you want to go back and you want to really check out what really happened in these wars and stuff like that, we are really trying to put our freaking foot in the door of every freaking country that we can to impose the imperialism that we have in this country.
Well,
And
that's what imperialism is.
and I'm not
imperialism
speaking,
is pushing your
yeah,
pushing your policies onto other countries.
and I'm not speaking.
By,
Yeah, and I'm not speaking from a place that I want to rule over everybody in the world. I don't want to rule over shit. Leave me the fuck.
No. What the problem is it's a matter of good versus evil.
Right.
So we have to spread our good.
Yeah.
To fill in all the places that evil might seep into.
Right. And
that's what we as Americans were taught to think.
Right. Exactly.
Right? But really what it is, it has to do with economics.
Exactly. And that's where I was kind of getting at. So when we were talking about that, he was talking about, when Mao Zedong did his revolution against, the Chinese government. The reason why he was doing that is because the little guy was getting stomped all over the place and stuff. So all
Mao happened in the Soviet Revolution.
Yeah. Vietnam, the French got their asses,
the US.
The French gears getting their ass kicked, right? The Chinese and the North the North Vietnamese, they finally pulled out, and then we pulled in there and said, no, we can't have this communist. When all that the North Vietnamese were trying to do, and the Chinese were trying to save these people from being oppressed by all this crap that was going down. I'm not going to side with who's right or who's wrong.
Here's an imperialistic country coming in and raping their resources and not giving their people anything for it.
Right.
That's what they were looking at.
Exactly.
Yeah. So that's what caused the revolution.
Yeah, and the same things. God, I'm hoping not. I'm hoping it doesn't happen here. We're going to have some kind of revolution, but hopefully it doesn't come down to guns in everybody's faces and stuff like that. Yeah. But the fact of the matter is that the imperialist revolution that has been going on, have been causing the wars around here. After we got the United States and Britain was far behind us, we just took over. We're going to be bigger than the British Empire, and that's what we've become. And basically we become the bullies. Right. You know what? That might upset my freaking Republican and hardcore conservative friends, but I don't really care, because that's really what happened.
A lot of it has to do with also supplies. I mean, resources, right?
Yeah.
If we get in there and take control either by force or by persuasion, whatever, then that country is one of our allies. That gives us more material, right? And it's all a fight about that. It's right. It's like if you don't have gold and platinum and titanium and uranium and all these other things, then you can't do shit. You can't.
Yeah.
You can't. You can't progress in war machines, in scientific exploration or anything.
But all under the guise of the commie red freaking threat, right? Somebody's the threat. It's always disguised as a threat of somebody. It was always disguised as Saddam Hussein was doing something to his country that no dictator ever does. So we had to step in there.
You gotta understand
all he was trying to do was save his own people from being destructed by the other people that were trying to come in and take what was rightfully theirs.
Communism is an easy one to answer, because communism will not work unless the entire world is communist.
No, do you think that
broke apart?
So you think that manifesto was right, that the communist Russia wanted to take over the world, and they were going to do anything that they could to try to do it, until John Kennedy said, "We'll blow you guys off the face of the fucking."
Buy Marx's book and read it. It'll tell you that if the entire world has to be communist for his philosophies to work. Now, Lenin and Stalin did ugly things with his philosophies, but his philosophies was, a utopian world where everybody was of the same mind and everybody worked together and everybody got a fair share and everybody got their shit taken care of and everybody got their place to live and everybody got their car to drive and their beach to go swimming at and everything else, right? I mean, it was kind of a utopian gig, but of course it got corrupted into what it is, and
it always does.
Yeah, and what it will turn into. Same thing with communism in North Korea and in China. It's more of a The only way we're going to survive is if we all pull together as one unit, and I'm going to shoot anybody who doesn't.
Yeah.
Right.
Kind of the way it's going to go, right?
Yeah. So as far as communism goes, that's one thing that I believe that we can spend resources on to try to curtail and minimize. But doing that by putting army bases in every country in the world is not I think in our best interest. Do it by persuasion.
So let me ask you a question. So, because I've always asked this of you, or I've always wondered this. I've always wondered your answer to this question. When does socialism become communism? When do we get so socialist that we become communists?
Socialism is where you work and pay a lot of taxes.
Yeah, I don't want to do that.
And communism is where you work and you get what the government thinks you deserve.
Okay, all right.
So it's a little bit different. There's no free enterprise there. There's no growth.
So why do you think that people have this great big freaking misunderstanding about what you just said? Because a lot of people say bullshit. Socialism out of control becomes communism.
Not in the purest sense, no.
Yeah, I don't think so either, only because of the fact that you look at Venezuela. Venezuela is not a communist country. It's a very socialist country.
Right. Neither is Canada.
And neither is Canada. Yeah, and they're not communists. So, I mean, they live and run pretty free. So yeah, I also argue that fact too. So,
But their tax burden is about 60% of their income.
Exactly.
That's the big difference.
And they live in Canada.
Yeah.
And they live north of that border.
Well, at least they get
it's cold up there.
Yeah.
And is there any surfing destinations on the coast of Canada?
Not yet. I think in a couple of years there will be.
Because last time I heard, there's not very many surfing places.
If you go to the Bay of what's it, Bundy? The Bay of Fundy.
The Bay of Fundy.
Bay of Fundy, where there's that 30-foot tide that changes twice a day. I bet you could ride that sucker out, man. I've seen it.
The Bay of Fundy. I have to look that one up.
Yeah. It's really weird. It's like an inlet, and when the tide changes, it's like somebody opens up a dam, and it just floods out. It's just unbelievable how fast the water moves. And it's like a waterfall. It's like it looks like a tsunami, like the pictures of tsunamis that you see. It's like just this big wall of water just moving down the channel.
That's cool. Well, one of these days we'll have a tropical paradise up there in Canada that we can all go and spend the weekend at. It would be great. So because basically what happens is that most of our audience right now, the 880,000 people that do watch us today, are waiting to find out what we're going to talk about next. So we want to talk about what's been going on with the pandemic, but along with the COVID pandemic, we have a plastic pandemic. And I found this in Reuters today. It's on your screen right now. And Reuters investigate. Reuters happens to be one of my favorite reads of the day. It's one of the things that I go to besides Reason.com. I'll go there. Some of those places that I really read where my news is coming from. And a lot of times I go to Dougie's favorite place, which is Fox News. And but they were talking about the plastic pandemic, and I just wanted to share some ideas with you because I think it was really interesting what they had to say about the pandemic. And when I discussed it with you before the show, you were talking about, well, it's been that way for a long time, and it has been. It's been one of those things that have been a hotbed of discussion.
And there's actually a lot of articles about it. COVID is laying waste to U.S. recycling programs. There's a headline from The Conversation. The EPA is saying that there's problems with the supply chain of recycling,
right, exactly.
Stuff. And then there's this article from Reuters, which was actually really in depth. I mean, it covered a lot of stuff, didn't it?
Right, right. It did. It did. It did. It just impressed me. I mean, it was a very well written article. I'm not going to read anything out of it other than the fact that we have seen a turn of events in the recycling industry as far as plastic is concerned. And plastic is like the number one pollutant that we have here on Earth, besides the man made gases that we're putting into the air, which can or cannot be defined as global warming. I will still argue with Dougie on that, but the whole thing is that I hate plastic myself. In fact, everything that we kind of consume around and are around is made of plastic. I mean, you can't look around your room right now and not see just a bunch of plastic that's around, and most of that plastic that we're looking at, and you're getting more and more. Yeah, and most of that plastic is not recyclable plastic. So the only thing to do with it is either you put it in the landfill or you burn it. And either way you do, it doesn't biodegrade very good, or it's going to stick in your lungs and stuff. So I will read just a little bit. It says already since 1950, the world has created 6.3 billion tons of plastic waste, and 91% of that which has never been recycled. This is according to a 2017 study published by the journal Science. And the most is hard to recycle, and many recyclers have long depended on government support. New plastics known to the industry as virgin material can be half the price of most common recycled plastic. And that's what they're getting at right now, is that the industry right now is just inundated with what acrylic panel right now, acrylic panel and acrylic face shields and acrylic this and acrylic that. Is, I mean, you look everywhere, there's acrylic everywhere now. I mean, it gets it's exploding all over the place. I mean, if me and Dougie were in the studio right now, we'd probably have a piece of acrylic panel in between us, so that we could do the podcast and stuff like. Maybe, probably just cellophane, or maybe a magnum we stretched out across the room.
A tie-dye sheet, yeah.
The tie-dye sheet, But
seriously though, the petrol companies, petrochemical companies, are looking at this as their future. They're not just. First of all, right now it's actually cheaper to produce new plastic than to recycle the old plastic.
Exactly.
That's a big problem, and it's a manpower thing.
Yeah.
All the garbage we used to send over to Asia, and they'd have people, sorting out the stuff, all day long on conveyor belts: black plastic, white plastic, clear plastic, this plastic, that plastic, metal, this metal, that metal, whatever. Those people those countries' economies are doing better than when we started this program, and those people don't want to do those jobs anymore. Mm-hmm. So now the garbage is just piling up. Right. They're gonna bury it or dump it out at sea.
Yeah, it's gonna be buried. And I can't. Oh God, I hate that when you say dump out at sea, because this is what the plastic does. Is that it's really, really hurting our ecosystem as far as in our oceans. And a lot of people don't know me as a as a conservationist, but I am. I'm very dead serious about the pollution on this earth and our fisheries. I mean, come on, our fisheries would be great if we weren't polluting the crap out of our oceans and our watersheds. I mean,
and overfishing.
Yeah, and overfishing. But I mean, I don't think that that we overfish enough that I think we overfish enough that we don't even counteract the pollution that we're putting into
we overfish to the point where the stocks are depleted, and then they can't replenish them in the period between fishing seasons.
Yeah.
But what's amazing though is you leave a place alone for a little while, and the fish stocks come back.
Oh, absolutely. They come back.
It's a place that's all depleted. You go away for 5 years and come back, and you've got all the fish you want.
Yeah.
I saw that in Long Island Sound when I was a kid. The big striped bass. They all went away. You could not get a striped bass. We used to get 60-inch striped bass, and then they all went away. And all you get is bluefish, flounders, things like that. And then the bass started coming back after they put a moratorium on it that you couldn't fish them anymore, right? No fishing bass. And then now there's all the bass you could want.
Yeah. Well, ladies and gentlemen,
what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. Well, ladies and gentlemen, here's what I want to tell you about the plastics industry. And I don't really care what you think that you see or what you think that you know. But reading this article that I read right now, the industry itself has invested $333 billion. That's with a B, $333 billion in devising new ways to make new plastic. And not the kind of plastic you recycle, the kind of plastic that you consume. Okay, $333 billion. I want to hear, say billion with me. Say it, dog. Billion. Say billion. Billion. Okay.
Billions and billions, just like
Yeah.
McDonald's.
So when they start talking about, around election time, around any time anybody starts putting pressure on the plastics people, or who's doing the polluting here and who's doing the polluting there, they all come out with their advertisements and we're giving away millions of dollars. Say that, Dougie. Millions of dollars to fight, the pollution and to help recycling.
Well, it's like the same irony that you see a commercial for, like, Exxon or BP or something, saying that they're investing $600 into renewable energy. We should all bow down to them, right?
Yeah, exactly, and that's and it's so misleading. Okay, because how can you sit there with I'm a marketing guy. I like to market myself. I think I market myself pretty good. I spend a lot of money on people that teach me how to do marketing, so I think I can market myself pretty good. But I could not sleep with myself at night knowing that I just told you that I spend $1 million of my hard-earned money to fight pollution when I'm spending $1 billion to contribute to that pollution. But you don't know the $1 billion because you don't read the article. You don't read your news. And that's, what, here's what pisses me off. I'm going to tell you right now.
There's more and more plastic in everything.
Yeah.
In cars, in your houses, any form of transportation,
Right.
materials, things, like look at just like you said, look around you.
Yeah. And the
TV
biggest
is
thing,
plastic, the computer is plastic,
and the biggest thing is that people just praise these companies and just go like, oh, they're doing so much. When on the other side, if you just read the news, go to some reputable sites and source out the stuff that you see every day and get out there and get yourself some clean news that's not going to bullshit you, that comes out with some numbers, and then you go like, $1 billion is a hell of a lot more than $1 million.
Yeah.
And that's the problem. If they were spending $1 million on coming up with new plastic and sending $1 billion on trying to relieve the recycling and stuff like that, I wouldn't have any problem with that. Yeah. Even if they were spending an even amount both ways, I wouldn't have a problem with that. But
even if they swung it differently and said, like, we're investing billions and billions into your future for better and newer plastics. In the meantime, we are still doing everything we can to recycle the recyclable plastics.
Right.
But let's be totally honest and say the recyclable plastics suck. Good plastic can't be recycled.
Exactly, and that's pretty much true, man. And you know what? And it's just tough. And you guys.
Well, when I say suck, I mean from an industrial point of view.
And you 900,000 people that are out there watching us right now, we just love you guys. We want you to be back every week. And, it kept going up. I mean, we started out at how much did we start up at? 440,000 today. And then we got almost 1 million in the house right now. That is freaking crazy, dude. I love podcasting, man. But we invite you to be here every week with us, me and Dougie, man. We're going to banter about whatever we see fit, about social media, about the news, about what happens in our lives, because we like to come out here and we like to share. Me and Dougie have, I think we saw each other like 2 weeks ago. We got to sit out in the backyard and stuff. But me and Dougie like to do this a couple times a week. I mean, we probably have our best podcast on the way home from work and talking.
Yeah.
You miss all of the good stuff, So,
well, the nice thing about text, you can really say what's on your mind. Look the guy in the face.
But if you like this podcast, like 1 million other people do, share this podcast with a friend. We're on anchor.fm, and the / the Weathered Soul podcast. You can get us on our Facebook page. Just type in on the search engine the Weathered Soul podcast. You can go there. Every week we're going to be there. Every day I'm going to be putting my opinions online. Every day I'm going to be putting some humorous stuff on there. I also got 2 other podcasts. One that I'm starting back up, Bruce for Liberty. That's coming back pretty soon. I got the In the Pit of My Stomach podcast, which has nothing to do with politics or any social media stuff like that. It's just me selling my wares, and I'd love to be able to teach you about plant-based supplements and probiotics because they've helped me out. I'm feeling great. I'm feeling like 100%, man, except for when I got those 2 shots the other day, man. I'll never do that again. I got to go back in 2 months to get that other vaccine, man. So,
What, the booster for the?
Yeah, the booster for the shingles. Yeah, that shingles thing. So I never want shingles. I saw somebody who had shingles before, and they were just not having a good time, dude. I hear it hurts, and it's just an inconvenient thing to do. But yeah, this is all we got for the time tonight, man. We love to have you there. I am freaking excited that we're back on YouTube Live, man, and I can't wait to see you guys next week, man. It's just been a great thing. Dougie, I want to thank you. I'm going to gush all over you again like I do every week. You are the crux of the show, man. You're the reason why our numbers keep going up past 1 million. I mean, hell, we just crested 1 million, dude. There we are, 1 million.
There's got to be at least 8 or 9 billion people out there that really would like to listen to us.
Yeah, but they don't have the means or anything like that. But they'll finally get the means once you if you share it out, they'll listen to us. So I mean, if you want the billions of people and just the millions of people listening to us, you go ahead and share this podcast with anybody you want to. But right now, I got to ask Dougie to say good night.
Good night, Dougie.
And good night versus Bruce the Weathered Soul. And for best results, squeeze from the bottom up. We'll see you later, man. Have a good night.
Right on, man. Be well. Thanks, guys.